Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Esports Money's ESM Mac10, whatever you want to call me, and welcome to the Esports Money's Daily, where we go into analysis of professional players' replays. Today is the 29th of August, 2017. I'm sorry, it's very late. It's like 2:30 in the morning. I'm probably going to go to bed after I finish and upload this, but I wanted to get this out to you guys today. Well, I wanted to get it out to you yesterday, but we're getting it out today. Anyway, let's get started.
Hey guys, if you like my content, hit those like and subscribe buttons. It really helps me out. Thanks.
Okay, so we have our hero today is Dendi, playing Mirana. This is... oh, it doesn't want to... okay, there. Now it's working for some reason. Okay, so looks like all my audio levels are good. And I've moved my camera over to the left side so that if I look at items, I'm not blocking you guys. If I'm looking at descriptions of spells and abilities, I'm not blocking you guys. The only thing I block is this part of the screen, which should be fine. So, Dendi goes out to scout. There are a handful of things that I don't entirely understand during this game, but there are a lot of things that I do. So there's a visual bug there. It looked like it was Monkey King just sliding through here, but he was actually disguised in courier form, walked straight up the middle lane, and killed the enemy courier. I don't think that was purposely fed. Dendi throws an arrow, misses it, and then starts to regen with his clarity. So, one of the things that I always talk about, and will continue to talk about, is the importance of farm, and how getting kills is all well and good, but it's not the #1 priority. So, famously after TI3, back when Puppy was still the captain of Navi, I believe it was between TI3 and TI4 before Secret dissolved. It might have been between TI2 and TI3, but I'm pretty sure it's between TI3 and TI4. Puppy stated that he doesn't draft Mirana for Dendi because of the fact that Mirana requires a decent amount of farm, and that Dendi would, based on his habits as a player, spend too much time trying to get kills with Mirana and not enough time farming. And we're going to see this sort of behavior in Dendi today, but he's going to eventually get those kills and rebound from it because he's fucking Dendi. So the arrow misses, and we're going to see Dendi does win this game, but he struggles quite a bit, and the reason he wins this game is probably not entirely all his credit. But we will be examining his build, the choices that he makes in this, etc. You know the drill. So, takes more hits than he probably wanted to there. Ember Spirit walks away with way more regen, gets the better of the exchange. But Mirana is trying to set up for an arrow still. And you can't see the Earth Spirit. So, I might have to speed up. I'm gonna have to speed up a little bit here. So he kind of realizes that he's not getting a hell of a lot done, so he's going to leech a little bit of experience off mid, and in the same time he's able to bully the sniper out a bit. The sniper doesn't have a single... oh, he does have a point in take aim. Okay. It seemed like he didn't have a point in take aim, that he had put a point in headshot, because he was being bullied out of the lane by the Mirana, which he should not be bullied out of the lane by the... he should not be bullied out of the lane by the Mirana. Mirana should easily be pushed out of the lane by him. However, Dendi's almost level 2, but Dendi goes for the leap. So why would you go for leap instead of Starstorm here? Well, leap is and has always been a great value point, and Mirana's arrow is also a great value point because the maximum damage, or the maximum bonus damage scales, and the maximum stun, or scales with distance, and the maximum stun time scales with distance, but the base damage is the only thing that goes up when you put points into it, so you don't really get anything out of like putting more points in Sacred Arrow. You get an additional 90 magical bonus damage every single level you put into it until you reach your max level. That's all you get. You get 90 magic bonus damage. Meanwhile, Leap goes up 50% in terms of your movement speed bonus. However, the primary purpose of it is to give you a boost away from enemies and to give you a slight movement speed bonus. Now, we will see Dendi go for phase boots in this game, and this, combined with a single point in Leap, is going to give him the mobility to avoid pretty much anybody for a lot of the game, at least up until people get Blink Daggers and really want to commit on him. Now, Starstorm is where he will be spending all of his points, and the reason being is it scales like hell. 75 damage level 1, another 75 damage at level 2, another 75 damage at level 3, and the mana cost does scale quite sharply, but considering you're doing 4 times much damage and it costs 60% more mana at level 4 with the same cooldown, Starstorm is the obvious choice. However, an AoE nuke of 75 damage at level 1, even at level 1, is basically useless. So, let's continue. And you see Dendi trying like hell to bully this guy around. Notice that he didn't go for the leap there. Because if he gets stunned up, he's basically dead. He's a Mirana. He has 580 health. He's level 2. He has 2 base armor. He has no defensive ability if he uses the leap to get up on that high ground. So he can't do it even though he had the DD back at mid. That exchange, he misses the arrow, he backs off. It's a pretty straightforward exchange. Dendi still wants to come in and do something with this mid, but so far people are reading him. I think this is one of the reasons that Dendi was such a dominant mid for a very long time, is that he's very good at killing players, and players are getting better at not getting hit by skill shots on all levels of the game. And Dendi is the kind of player that beats you by landing those skill shots. Skill shots like that one. You see Dendi's he's taking a lot of damage here. He's pretty darn low. And he does secure the kill, but this was mostly to secure the lane for the OD. This is Dendi putting a lot of faith in the OD. I know Dendi is on the Mirana. This is obviously Dendi's Mirana, but I don't actually know who the other professional players in this game are, so I can't really tell you. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to go with that. I don't know if this is another pro in mid, a friend of Dendi's. This is a little detail here that I think is really cool. So Dendi goes back to base and throws out a Sacred Arrow, and I'm thinking about doing a Mirana jungling guide, and if I do, this will definitely be a part of it. So when you throw a Sacred Arrow, you get insta-kill on any creep. Instantly kills the first non-ancient creep it hits. So if you're going back to base anyway, it's going to be like 12... By the time he TPs out to lane and heals up all his mana, he's walking all the way back to the fountain. He's not even... He can't use the shrine yet. It's not even 5 minutes. So he's walking all the way back. He knows he has the time, so he just throws out the arrow and gets the free chunk of money. Beautiful, straightforward play by Dendi. And he struggled pretty heavily in the game, but considering the movement speed bonus, he decides to go all in on phase boots. 413 movement speed while in phase, plus another 8% off on leap. He's pretty damn hard to kill with phase boots and his leap. Another thing you notice here is that he's not really going for damage based on his primary attribute, which is of course agility, Mirana. He's going for damage raw from the phase boots based on the item. He didn't go for treads here. And I think the reason that he's going phase boots here is because of the mobility. It gives him a little... It makes it so that he can escape more easily when he combines it with leap, even with leap at level 1. Now I think he dies here? Yeah. Yeah, he dies here. But he did go ahead and put a point into Starstorm, and from here he will max Starstorm, getting a point in Moonlight Shadow at level 6. You always get your ult at all the possible points, because Mirana Ultimate is awesome. And he's already back into the fray. He goes for the point-blank arrow, mostly for a nuke there. And I think one of the reasons he really wants to sit around this mid lane is because there's an OD there. So the OD has a very good setup. If Dendi times his Sacred Arrow along with the Astral Imprisonment from the OD, he has a very good setup for the arrow. That's something that I can't give you... I mean, I can't tell you how he does that. I mean, you have to know the prison duration is 4 seconds, and you have to be very good at counting, and you have to be very familiar with the projectile speed that the Sacred Arrow, which is actually Giant Spear, moves. I believe this will be one of my shorter dailies, but I won't know until you guys do, because I don't edit my dailies. I edit my guides. They actually take me about the same amount of time to make, honestly. So the OD is going to try not to die there, but the OD will die. Dendi's just kind of peeking up at him, checking it out. Dendi will go ahead and do the little shrine trick that I've kind of talked about in the previous dailies, where he uses the courier with boost to pick up his items from the fountain and uses the shrine there, and that way he can walk back to lane and he still has a TP off cooldown. So Dendi, he's playing Mirana, which is a relatively mana-starved hero, so he wants to get the Ring of Basilius and then ultimately the Ring of Aquila because it gives extra agility and armor, and of course the mana regen. That's the big deal here. That's the reason Ring of Basia is the item it is. I'm a little bit surprised this game that he doesn't go for the raindrops. And they will get this kill here. Pretty easy cleanup. The Winter Wyvern tried to come in for the save, but ends up just getting killed instead. In fact, the Winter Wyvern actually realized that it was too late, and started to turn around, but had already overcommitted, even being far away from the fight. He was still close enough that with the LC around, he's just dead. And again, we're seeing this habit that Dendi has that is, when you talk about a roaming hero, you have to be, I think this is the point of this entire video, the point of this entire daily, is that when you are roaming, when you're playing a hero as a roamer, you have to be bold enough to sit and wait and camp people and sacrifice farm for yourself. So Ricky wants farm. Ricky's a roamer. You want a little bit of farm or Spirit. Or Spirit's typically a roamer. You want a lot of farm on Mirana. She's a roamer. A Monkey King. These are all heroes that are not heroes that you think of inherently as roamers. They're not people you think, well, Spirit or Earth Spirit is. But when you think about Bounty Hunter, he's the sort of hero where you're like, well, he doesn't really need that much farm. But Monkey King wants farm, and Mirana definitely wants farm, though Monkey King's not roaming here. I'm just using him as an example. But the thing is, you have to be bold enough to take the gamble that he's taking, and you can do it more easily on heroes that have a flash farm mechanic. So when you have the Starstorm, by level 7, you're going to have an AoE farming tool that turns you into a farming god. And with Sacred Arrow, you can still get the max stun with the level 1 arrow, and you get most of the value out of Leap by only having a single point in it. So that means that if you be a roamer, as long as you don't fall too far behind on levels, you can still make up that farm in the mid-game as a Mirana. This is relatively hero-specific. Monkey King does not have a way to flash farm. Bounty Hunter's way of flash farming is kind of non-existent as well, but Mirana absolutely can. And he's going to set up the arrow, which lands perfectly because he's Dendi. I'm sorry if there's a lot of because he's Dendi here, but when it comes to landing arrows and landing punch hooks, you just kind of say because he's Dendi. My voice is probably getting quieter. I'm kind of far from my mic. Sorry about that, y'all. Alright, so at the top lane, that offlane Jakiro has actually done very, very well not dying. I feel like the video should be about him. Mirana goes in and snipes a big creep using the Sacred Arrow. Again, insta-shot a creep. Same cooldown on all levels. The farming arrow is kind of totally fine to snipe a big creep. It's more efficient than using Starstorm when Starstorm is only level 2 or 3, because you really need to kill all of these guys really, really, really quickly when you have a stack against you. So if it's not level 4, don't do it. And once you have the 5% spell amp, it's pretty nice. And Mirana will be going for the spell amp. In fact, I think I'll continue to talk through this, and then we'll stop somewhere around there. I'm trying to get my dailies down shorter, guys, and even though this replay is kind of an easy one to do it with, I would show you guys what happened there, but it's pretty straightforward. He got blown the fuck up. He was looking at another spot on the map, and 3 heroes picked him off. And when it comes to getting ganked, once they go on you, if you're out of position, that's your fault, but once they go on you, if you escape, that's their fault. It's not... If you are running away, 9 times out of 10, a gank comes down to the ability of the gankers to kill you than your ability to run away. If stuns are stacked properly, generally speaking, 2 heroes ganking 1 with reliable stuns, it's their fault if you live, not your fault if you die. It was your fault that you got caught out. The death was supposed to be granted.
I was meant to have this.
We're spending a little bit of time here. And again, we're seeing Dendi struggled a bit. But his respawn timer is really low because he's very, very low level. So let's look at everybody's level. Dendi is tied for the lowest level in the game with the other roamer. This is a game with no clear leader where both of the roamers are doing poorly. And he goes for the infused raindrop, which I think Dendi should have done. I think Dendi might have preferred... Well, Ring of Aquila is a good item, but I'm saying stack the Ring of Aquila with the infused raindrops because then you have a lot more mana regen. But because he's like been dead so much, he hasn't had that many issues with mana regen. Another thing I want to point out is that he used Starstorm to farm that camp, and while that was going on, he sent out a Sacred Arrow. So he used Starstorm to farm this camp, and he sent a Sacred Arrow out here to kill a creep. Why? Because he doesn't want to spend the time to walk over here. Farming, what a lot of people think about farming, they think about, are you tanky enough to survive? So like Wraith King with a couple points in his aura and a point in crit can absolutely just farm the jungle all day. But the reason that Iron Talon is so popular of an item at level 1 for a lot of junglers is it kind of does, like, it does a lot different than having a Stout Shield and a Quelling Blade does. Having a Stout Shield and a Quelling Blade gives you the damage from your right clicks, and it gives you that tankiness. The +2 armor does not equal a Stout Shield under any circumstances. It's really not. You're taking a shitload more damage with melee heroes if you're buying an Iron Talon than if you're buying a Stout Shield and Quelling Blade. But what the Quelling Blade does is it lets you kill shit way faster because of its active ability. And the time that it takes you to kill creeps is more important than the safety of killing creeps. So he's saving himself time. I am going to speed this guy up a bit.
Gold and sweet.
I feel like this might have been Dendi's like last game of the day or something, because there's some things he did that were kind of questionable. And Dendi has been playing a shitload of Dota lately. Dendi has been spamming games of Dota like you would never believe. Dendi has the fire in him. He wants to be good again. Well, he's always been good, but he wants to be the symbol of a good team again.
Bad dude's top tower gonna fall over soon.
Allies disappear.
Dire's top tower is under attack. We're detecting high levels of suffering. Dire's top tower is under attack. Oh man, this is totally Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And now we see the story of the roamers. So Mirana is 4th in net worth. The only person on her team lower is the Jakiro. And the Jakiro's, I mean, he's not doing that, but he's got Tranks and he's got Windlace, so he's got 400 base movement speed. If the Jakiro plays his cards right, if the Jakiro plays his cards right, the Jakiro can absolutely survive a lot. And Mirana Starstorm gets the kill on the Ursa. It's level 7, and you see right there he does go ahead and get the 4th point into Starstorm. Now, at level 10, what is Dendi going to get?
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
What do you think Dendi's going to get? See, I thought he was going to get agility, but he's actually going to go 400 or 150 bonus health. And the reason being is he's an underfarmed roamer that is interested in doing magic damage with the Starstorm. He realizes he's probably not going to be built into a right-click beast, and if he is, it won't be for a long time. So he'd rather be alive to get off a couple Starstorms in a fight than try to do a tiny bit of extra damage with bonus agility. And that is the unluckiest Earth Spirit ever. He gets one... He's very close to getting denied, but just gets killed by the Jakiro. So we'll take him. He does plan on being a pseudo sort of right-click carry at some point. There are a lot of lulls in this game, which is a reason that I was kind of on the fence about using it, but I wanted to do Dendi Mirana because there's a lot of history with Dendi and this hero, or Mr. Lemon.
I was meant to have this.
And he will secure the kill. Yes.
Yo, green dudes, something bad. Bad dudes, middle tower.
This game does feel like there were a handful of slips by Dendi, but that's not what we're focusing on. This guy on his bad day this guy on his worst day playing Dota is better than probably anyone that will get around to watching this video. So it's still going to be quite good. And they go for the gank. And he has ult on CD, so he just dies. Again, he's relatively level starved, even now, so like... He is level 9, the lowest level person in the game is level 8, and...
Radiant structures are fortified.
The next one up is level 10, like he's doing pretty poorly, but...
Radiant's bottom tower.
Look what he gets! He gets a Dragon Lance. But Mac... A Dragon Lance... That's a right-click item. Why would he get a right-click? Actually, I'm gonna move this camera up ever so slightly so that you guys can see the kill count. Oh. I'm going to rewind just a hair here so you can see this fight. Though Dendi is not at it. So, he goes for the Dragon Lance. We get this lovely fight mid. Monkey King ult doing a great job at ripping through my frames. And so, why would Dendi be going for a Dragon Lance if he's not prioritizing right-click damage? Like, he's going for a sort of nuker build, and I've already told you guys that he's going for 5% spell amplification at level 15. So level 15 he goes for the 5% spell amplification despite getting a kind of... It's very good for stats, but he's going for a right-click item. So why would he do this? Well, the reason he does this is because... What does a Dragon Lance build into? It builds into a Hurricane Pike, which gives you max attack speed on 5 attacks after you use it on an enemy. So, attack speed is irrelevant. If this were 30 damage instead of 30 attack speed, I think Dendi would actually have gone for it, unless he really wants that 5% spell amp for his farming, which I don't think he does. I don't think he particularly cares about that. His spell damage is going to be pretty bad for the whole game. He has his very low base int. So his team has a few good engagements here. At this point, Dendi's still kind of a walking Moonlight Shadow, and that's his point. He's Arrow and Moonlight Shadow, but he's moving around the map and he's getting a decent amount of farm. So, there are a lot of mixed messages in this video, at least in terms of what he's doing and what you should be doing to win a game of Dota. And I think it's best demonstrated by this moment here. Dendi has had a, I would say, game. He's had a decent game as a roaming hero. I'm going to turn this up to 1. And he's not with his team because he doesn't have a TP. And he probably should have a TP. And maybe that fight goes a little bit different if he shows up mid to this fight with a TP. But all the while this is going on, he is coming here to see if he can clean up. He uses the Moonlight Shadow, so he helps his team in this fight just by using that one ability. It's a great global, or Spirit Dust, Carry Dust. But as he's walking up and realizes that there's nothing to do here, that this fight is kind of one-sided, and eventually his team will probably either get killed or have to stop chase, he goes back down here and keeps farming. He just goes back down there and keeps farming because there's nothing else for him to do. And the odds of him going up here and chasing and his team throwing, and then these guys counter throwing and him getting a pick-off kill or two with Sacred Arrow, it's just not worth it. So he's going to go back down here and keep farming. And that's how you play a good roamer. And I think Mirana is one of the best roamers in Dota for this reason. She's a hero that you can kind of consistently rely on to, as long as they get level 7, and as long as you know how to manage your mana, and have some items that help you manage the mana, you can use the Star Storm to bring you back into a game that is not doing so hot. Or a game where maybe your team's doing okay, but you've had a horrible game because your ganks didn't work out. So, I'm Esports Monies, and thank you guys so much for watching. I apologize if this video is a little bit shoddy because I'm tired. Looks like 25 minutes, so it's getting shorter. I'm trying to make them shorter in the future, but hopefully they'll be a little bit better than this. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and feel free to leave your feedback in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.